No, I don't know where to start, but tell the truth, this kind of story is very easy to understand. I don't really need to be in a stress and flight mode to just simply get myself in a well adjusted to this type of everyday life story. Because Dr. David Eckhart, who all of a sudden was met with a corona infection, had a very difficult time throughout his recovery, and he's right now still reeling from it. But he's really dying to get himself back to the ER because he's really a doctor who's normally been helping people on the other side. But this time, he's been actually facing a reversed fate immediately. But he's now literally in a good condition. But that was really unthinkable just a couple of weeks ago, because he actually was pronounced to be a COVID-19 patient, right? His body was besieged by the COVID invasion, and that was really terrible. He said that it was a day 6 when he was preparing for sandwich, and then all of a sudden he could no longer breathe. Even actually, he tried to change his position. That means he really thought that maybe his posture was bad, so he could not catch a breath. So he did many different things instantaneously to make himself able to inhale and exhale, but nothing worked. And then he noticed that something serious was going on, so he picked up the phone, and he actually, was immediately hospitalized. But that was really the last moment he was able to talk to his wife. He was forever and more until he was actually fully recovered from the coronavirus. He was hindered from talking to his beloved. Because as you probably really notice, whoever gets to be connected with inserted a tube in a artificial breathing device, one could no longer talk to their beloved one. One could no longer be able to speak up their voice because their mouth is really gagged. That's almost the similar effect that could ever be done because of this, breathing tubes, right? So, he actually literally lamented that part in retrospect too. That was the hardest part, that he was no longer be able to say anything to his wife and his family members. That was really the dire desperation, and needless to say, for a while he had to be physically isolated, and that was really tough. But right now, the state of Michigan experiences almost like a 12 percentile surge in the COVID-19 cases. So he's been very desperate to get back to his work, to help other people instead of actually being a patient, right? But he just really wants to send out a serious message to remind all of us. The new form of COVID-19 is real and genuine. It's not hoax. He was very frustrated because he even actually received a certain Facebook message saying that, oh, you're actually advocating the policy on behalf of the state government by emphasizing the gravity of this COVID-19. No, that's not true. He had no pre-existing conditions, or he had no medical history, or no family background and whatsoever. He was like, super athletic champion who's been regularly involved with all different sorts of sports activity like running. He was a very powerful person and almost like an advocate for health policy as a doctor too. So it was really shocking. He couldn't actually do anything about it. It just actually came to affect his life and alter his viewpoints completely. If there are certain people like doubting Thomas out there, this is a real message, and hopefully he really wishes this alarming experience would have sent out a signal to those people less convinced. And what would be the case? He just really wants to raise the eyebrows of the people who are not still part of this camp. You don't really need to be a happy camper, but you just really need to realize how detrimental this might be. No, it's very difficult to actually stomach the tragedy caused by this because, you can no longer hold your family's hands during the Thanksgiving holidays because of the COVID-19. But you have to actually realize the consequential events that could be ever created because of this gathering. Because there are hidden prices eventually one needs to pay unless there is a serious restraint on social gathering or congregating and whatsoever. And it's really shocking. There are more and more people are infected with the COVID-19, and he is very dying to, pull off his weight in the realm of medical science as usual. But, a simple test like, taking a stroll somehow becomes a little tough challenge. But now he's been actually, getting ready to achieve the full recuperation and recovery. That's likely to be the case. He's just actually steps away from getting himself back to work. That's true. But the thing is, that type of simple task was almost unthinkable because catching a breath was really tough. That simple activity, he had never imagined that would be tough enough to put him in paralysis. But even actually young and healthy people can still be the victim of a COVID-19 in a serious sense. So actually don't let your guard down. That's the hard lesson he learned. I mean, he was aware of the danger of COVID-19 as he was dealing with the patients flooding into the ER and ICUs. That's true. But he never actually experienced it this much close to home. This is now an up close and a personal case. And he just really wants to underwrite the very seriousness of the new form, the novel coronavirus. It could be you, and it could be all of us. There is no exception in this case. This is an indiscriminatorily affecting virus, and one should never actually feel confident or nonchalant about this. That was really the very fundamental of his belief now.